It's actually quite cold now. I say cold, it's about 4 degrees, which isn't super cold, but it's finally getting colder after such a mild autumn that was really weird. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing today. This is definitely going to be a bit more of a sort of vlog style. We are going to crack on with some jobs because it's been so wet this month that I've really not done much at all. I've got some tidying up to do down there, but let's open up the polytunnel first. And yeah, I just want to say thank you if you've even clicked on this video, because I appreciate that a November tour of an allotment in the lovely sunny UK is pretty dull, and I don't have that much to share if I'm being completely honest. But if you're here, then it probably means you're here just to check in with me, and I'm here to check in with you, make sure we're all doing all right, and see how things are doing, eh? Yeah, I like to open the polytunnel door when I'm here and leave it open just to get the air in the tunnel a little bit, vent it out, make sure there's not going to be too much build up of mould and mildew and stagnant air. It's good to give it a bit of a refresh, even if it is a bit cold. But yeah, we've got some seedlings growing in here. Let's have a little look. I sowed some Nigella the other week. They're still not popping up. And these are some Honesty seedlings that I transplanted. But otherwise, it's a bit tighter than it was. A bit more of a storage area now for the winter time. But yes, the weather has just been torrential rain, and yeah, we've had just so much rain, and the ground is too wet to walk on, too wet to sort of disturb too much, so I'm not going to be doing any groundwork down there today. But one thing that's been really bothering me for the last probably couple of months is, you may already know where I'm going with this, the bottom area of my allotment. It's just become a dumping ground, and here I am airing my dirty laundry. But I'm going to get it tidied up today because I need to sort it out. It's doing my head in. And also I need to access my compost area better, because I'd like to extend that this winter and have a few more bays and just generally improve it and my organisation, because I like to be organised and that is not working. So that's my little plan for the next couple of hours. So yeah, grab yourself a cuppa and I'll catch up with you in a minute. I think over the years, when you're working on allotment, you sort of realise how much you can do in a day, or in my case probably about 3 hours today before it starts to get dark. And I know this area isn't going to be completely tidy by then, so you know, I remember when I used to set up like job lists and it used to have so many things on it that I was going to complete that day, and it never worked. So I'm much more realistic now, and I think, you know, rather than thinking about this whole area nice and tidy, what would I like to achieve? I would like to have all of my pots in one place, cleaned out so there's no dirt in them, and all of the composting material in one place. And just by having those two things, that's already, if I complete them, going to be quite a bit off the list. And obviously I'm going to sort the rubbish into a rubbish area and just see how far we get by organising those two things as a priority. Now, as for the composting materials, I've got so much here to compost, but I can't actually get to my bin yet. So what I've been doing is using one of my empty beds as a temporary space for the compostables and just piling it on the ground, because I've got no crops there. And if anything, it's just going to protect the soil a little bit from the torrential rain that we've been having. It's similar to the sort of chop and drop technique, where if your crops are finished, just chop it, leave it on the ground to sort of create an organic mulch of its own. So that's the plan. I'm just going to tip all of this onto that bed until I can sort out my compost beds. And there's no rush to get that bed cleared then until, I mean, I'm not going to be using it until May, but I would like to get some actual compost mulch down before then. So let's get started. Ow. Okay. I just flicked dirt in my eye. And this is why I always keep a mirror inside my shed. That's better. I'm getting there, but I've also just realised that I've had my microphone the wrong way round, so I've got the receiver attached to me and the transmitter. Is that the right way around? Either way, it was wrong, but now you should hear me better. Sorry about that. There's so many pots, oh my gosh. You don't quite realise how many you got until they're all together like this. Ooh. Trays, seed trays, pots, rubbish. Now these are some shelving rackings that I bought from IKEA a while ago now, and I still haven't put them up because they're going to go behind the shed, I think, as long as they're stable enough, but I think I can secure it to the shed. So that'll be a nice little project when I can actually get to the back of the shed. And then it can store some of these pots. Now this is why you should never store your wheelbarrows upright with stuff in, particularly compost and dirt, because oh my gosh, the smell is disgusting. So I just decided to tip that out and then deal with that later. But oh my gosh, the smell. Whoa, disgusting. I have decided that whilst I've got this time off work, I'm going to use it productively, and that big sack, the blue and green sack, I'm going to use that to put a load of stuff in to take to the tip to my local recycling centre, because there's stuff here that I just don't need and I'm not going to use and I need to get rid of, and I think that's going to be quite therapeutic to do and just be gone. Yeah, that's the plan. Oh my god, it's my label pen. I wonder where that had gone. It's a special pen that you can write on labels with, and it's water and fade resistant. I had no idea where that had gone. It's amazing the things you find when you start to tidy up properly, eh? Right, now at the back here I've actually got some bagged compost, some of which I use in the springtime for my seedlings and things, some of which I use to mulch my beds. I was actually quite reserved with my mulching last season. I wanted it to go as far as it could, so I kept some of it here thinking I'd use it throughout the year, but I've still got it here now. And although I covered it with this plastic tarp to try and keep the worst of the rain off it, obviously it's going to be getting quite wet with all this weather we've had. Now what I don't want to happen is for this to get soaking wet and all the nutrients that are in it are just going to wash straight through. So I'm actually going to move all this into the polytunnel now so it can sort of dry out a little bit and not get too soaked. And actually it doesn't feel like it did too badly, especially as this stuff does retain water very well. I also kept them on the pallet so they're off the ground, so they're not taking on the moisture from ground level either. But that'll probably do for that barrier, so I'm not going to be able to move. Well, I did it. It's all cleared, and now I'm just staring at thousands of pots that I need to find a home for. But I'm just feeling so much better now because I can now get to my compost bin. That's all going to be taken out soon, chopped up, turned. I'm going to take out the good compost that's at the bottom so I can use that to mulch my beds or for potting with next season. And yeah, I've got all this space to work with and the compost bays to extend in, well, the coming months really. So I guess now it's just a case of putting back my pots in some sort of organised fashion. I think for now I'm just going to make use of this back area by the hedge because I don't need to trim this area of the hedge anytime soon. My priority is keeping this bit clear so I can work over there. Ta-da! Well, I've done a lot more than I thought I would today. I've got it all cleared, and although there's still a hell of a lot more to go behind the shed, I'm not going to let that overwhelm me and just focus bit by bit. So now I can sort out the compost bins, and I've got more room to work down here. And yeah, it feels good to finally have made some progress down this bottom end. But I think we should go on a very brief tour, because there's not too much to see, but the plot is still looking surprisingly lush for saying that it's almost December. So yes, it's 3 o'clock now and the fog is starting to get a bit thicker, so let's get cracking. I'm also really hungry after all that work, so let's have a little look around the plot. You may notice my sign isn't there today, and that's because it had fallen off my gate. The string that it was on had rotted and it had fallen off, and I decided I'm going to keep it in the shed for most of winter at least, I think, because it's been so wet and I don't want the sign to damage. But here we are. It's looking very similar to last month really, but look, ooh, the rose hips are out looking really juicy, and I bet the birds are already enjoying some of those. I'll probably start cutting the hedge in January once the rose hips have been eaten by all the birds. But otherwise, I mean, it's been such a long autumn that in most areas there's still leaves on some of the deciduous trees. You know, no matter where you go, there's still leaves around, which is really strange. But yes, there's not much change really. Still got a few straw flowers here and there. Look at that one, bright pink. Just much slower to open these days because of the gloomy days. So in those bags there I've just got some rubbish and things to take home or to the tip to be recycled. And you know what, I've actually got a few more raspberries coming. I noticed this just the other day. That one's not quite ripe, but they're having another little flush. Again, because it's just been so mild. Even the apple tree has still got leaves on. And it's the 29th today? I think it is. Looking pretty wild as it is. And you know what I've noticed has made such a difference to my allotment going into the colder winter months is my grass paths. Because they're still green and lush, whereas before they'd all be brown and just blending in with the beds, and it really does give it a bit of vibrancy that I knew I would enjoy, but come January, February, it's just going to give that little bit of vibrancy when everything else is bare. So yeah, I'm very pleased that I did the grass this year. So here's the progress that we've made today. As I say, there's still lots to do. That's where all the pots I've just put and that sack. So we're not there yet, but we've made great progress. My mahonia down here by the pond is looking absolutely gorgeous. And it's about this time of the year that you'll see the flowers on them. It looks like they've just gone over actually, maybe I missed it. Ooh, look what's going on down here. I love these so much. My Fatsia japonica is a great plant for shade and also for pollinators because it has these flowers in the middle of winter or early winter. And they're loved by bees and different types of flies. I even saw some at work the other day that were covered in wasps, and we still had wasps at the end of November, which is crazy. But yeah, they just look great, like little fireworks. In here, I can't remember if I showed you this already, I've got a box of treats. I did some shopping at work, and is that a hellebore? It might be a new hellebore, guys. I couldn't resist it. Let me put it out, because it's got gorgeous leaves, really sort of silvery blue eucalyptus kind of colour, and the flowers are like a whitey pink colour. So yes, that was a little treat. I'm going to do some winter containers with this lot because I just need a little bit of joy from a little pot, and these plants will be great for it. because otherwise everything is about finished now. Although I did notice the nasturtiums are still going. Still. We haven't quite had a hard frost yet. I think it got down to about 0, but it's not been enough to do much. And look, we've got a little bit of Achillea that's going for it again. Oh yeah, you can see, so this nasturtium, that's been hit by the frost where it's all sad and floppy. But the dahlias are still pretty much green. I'd expect them to be quite black by now. Like this, that's a sign of frost damage. But I like to wait for a really hard frost to sort of send them into dormancy before I lift or mulch them. In fact, this time last year, I remember at the end of November, I was frantically mulching my dahlias in the snow, and the snow got worse and worse and worse. You might remember watching me, and it was just so funny. I was just trying to get all this mulch down before the cold really hits. They all survived, they're all fine. It's just funny how, you know, how different the years and the seasons can be. So yes, I'll be lifting these very soon. If you're not sure about dahlia lifting, I do have a separate video all about it, which I can link up there and in the description as well. But yes, look at this lot, still green. So hopefully we'll get a hard frost soon, because I really want to start lifting these out of the ground. Just a little bit of blackening on that one. But yeah, I like them to know that it's winter now. Moving up to the top of the plot, we've got my compost bed. That'll all be going into the bins as soon as I've sorted them out. We've still also got some cosmos, the ones that are flopped over onto my path. I do have some parsnips in this bed behind me, but I think they're going to be so small. I don't know if they're going to be usable, because I sowed them quite late. I think it was about mid-June. I usually try and get them in about May, early June. And then of course we had the heat wave, so it was just a struggle to get them going, and yeah, I think they've suffered. So I may not have many parsnips this year, but fingers crossed, give it a few weeks and I'll harvest 1 or 2 and see how they're doing. So here's the plot, and yeah, I've got quite a lot to do, lots of weeding, but I don't want to do that whilst the beds are still soaking wet from all that rain. So much rain. Well yeah, that's about it for today. Thanks for joining me. I know there's not much going on at this time of the year, so it does mean a lot that I've still got you here, still watching and joining me on the allotment. So yes, over the next few weeks I'm going to be here quite a bit actually, because I've got that time off, so it's going to get really nice and tidy and organised. And yeah, looking forward to starting the next growing season and getting my plans down, sort of planning out what my beds are going to be, especially when I'm growing my own wedding flowers. And thank you so much everyone who watched my video about my wedding flowers, and for all your well wishes. I'm sorry I haven't replied to all your comments, but it means a lot to both of us, so thank you very much. And yeah, I'm going to head home now and get some food. But tell me what's going on in your neck of the woods. How has your November been? Take care, and I'll see you soon.